picture on one of those. I don't know if it was ESPN or NFL. Maybe it was both of them. I don't know. I ran into this picture. Um, and as you see, the caption reads Hurts versus Mahomes. Super Bowl will be the first between two black starting quarterbacks in NFL history. Well, let's dive into that. Let's speak on that. And this is gonna be my 11th entry in a message to the black community. And the reason why, because what I'm about to talk about, and this is also gonna be the last video, I believe. I don't know, but I plan on this being my last video, where I speak on the Tyree Nichols situation. But I want to start off with this situation, so I can feed into on the basis of why I'm making this video. You remember back in school, for you ladies and gentlemen, this will made me make it for the black community, because I was gonna make it in my interest in my entry, a message to the black man, but I said, you know what, I think the black community need to hear this as a whole. If you remember back in school, say for a pep rally or May Day, or some kind of special event that the school held, the special ed children would get extra praise and extra applause, for doing something very simple, something that normal kids do every day. They would get the special ed children, or the special needs, or the handicapped children, they would get a extra applause or extra praise because they handicapped or they special needs. And I understand that um the black liberals, the black wokety wokes, stuff like this, they love stuff like this because, as we know, this was written by a white liberal, and that's all the black liberal and the black wokey will want. He want to be affirmed by the white man. He want a hug from the white man. He want the white man to hug him and tell him, cry on my shoulder. That's what he want. He don't want nothing else. Like I always say, you hear some of these black liberals and some of these black wokey woke flirt with the idea of reparations. When you speak on that, they don't even really know what they want and how much they want or what they want on that situation, right? They just really, at the end of the day, they want a hug from the white man. So when the white man, or the powers that be, um give them little pats on the back like this, it makes them feel special. But for people such as myself, a black king, a black conservative, and a black man with a ruling class mindset, it makes me feel bad for my race. It makes me feel as if my race, special ed, the special needs of America, the special needs people of America, that everything we do, we got to get an extra applause. When there's two white quarterbacks, you don't say nothing about that. Why is that? Because it's normal for two white quarterbacks to go to the NFL Super Bowl, and it's normal for that. Before it's two black people, let's give them an extra round of applause, and ooh yeah, and like I say, black conservatives and black ruling class, black men and women with a ruling class mindset, and the ones of us who kings and queens, we look at that like, okay, so what? We supposed to do that. We great. We supposed to do that, but who cares? We Americans, and why we can't just look at it as this two great quarterbacks who go and play in the Super Bowl for a title? Why can't we look at it like that? But they do that to the black liberal. Because like I say, once again, the black liberal have no, and it started with the civil rights movement, people like Martin Luther King. This it started then. And as Malcolm X once said, the civil rights movement was nothing but about sharing the toilet with the white man. It wasn't about transfer of wealth, wasn't about transfer of power. We just want to go to school with you. We just want to hold hands with you. And I understand Martin Luther King had good intentions with it, but it just ended up being stuck with black people, that we just have to be affirmed with the white man and everybody else. Anything time we bring up something, anytime us as a black conservative, or us black kings and queens, or us blacks with a ruling class mentality is trying to correct the black liberal, the black woke, well, what's the first thing come out of their mouth? Well, the white is always comparing themselves to who? The white man. Why is that? Because you're not going to compare yourself to somebody that's beneath you, or somebody that you look at as beneath you. You're only going to compare yourself to somebody who you view as being above you, right? And so, and that's gonna be, then that's something I'm about to speak in my next subject. But I'm gonna finish with this, and I just wanted to speak on that because it just really bothered me, man, that this had to be that this had to be brought out about two black quarterbacks instead of being two great quarterbacks, two quarterbacks from the South, two quarterbacks from Texas, two quarterback. Well, I'm not gonna say both of them was overlooked in college because Patrick Mahomes was, but Jalen Hurts wasn't. But why can't it just be about that? You know what I'm saying? Because I mean, if you want to be honest about it, Patrick Mahomes is just like Barack Obama. They have black fathers, but they was born through a white womb. They come out of a white woman, and whatever womb you come out of, even who your dad is, um, and especially for a situation like Barack Obama, he come out of a white womb and was raised by that woman. He was not raised by his father. His father was not in his life. So all he knows is white culture. Barack Obama, what a lot of people don't understand, is a white boy. Because if you're not raised in a two-parent home and you're raised by your mother, whatever race your mother is, if you're white, if you mix and your daddy white and your mama black, you're gonna be raised in black culture if your daddy not around. Whatever your mama is, that's what kind of culture you're gonna come up a part of. And Barack Obama come out of a white womb, and that's what he was raised in, white culture, right? Until he maybe got in, college or whatever and start. But Barack Obama is a white boy. That's why he worships Michelle so much. That's why Michelle is like somebody he worships, because we know that when white people get with black people, they look at them as they worship them. Whether it be a white man with a black woman, or a black woman with a white man, whether it be a white man with a black woman, or a black man with a white woman, that white person in the relationship is gonna worship the black, because why is that? Black to them, which is, don't get it twisted. I don't look at my race as better than any other race. We have our strengths, we have our weaknesses. But when white people get with blacks, especially liberal white, which is most of the time that's who date black, because conservative whites are not racist, but they tend to like to keep their bloodline pure and stick with their own race, which is normal in my opinion. And I always have been against interracial relationships. Now I did date outside my race when I was in the fallen state years and years and years ago, but ever since I came into the knowledge, I love all people. But I would not date outside my race. Why is that? Because I want to keep my bloodline pure. I want my son to look like me. I want my daughter to look like my wife or my mother. I don't want no. And those kids are beautiful kids. They got they skin complexions are nice. But these kids come up, and it's just selfish to the children, because they come, interracial couples is selfish to the children, because the children come up and they not fully accepted by no side. You know what I'm saying? The black's not gonna take them serious, and the whites not gonna look at them as they really one of their own, because they mix. It just is what it is. But these are the conversations that should be had. And another thing I always tell people, and of course they starting foundations to combat that. But don't you know, if a mixed child have any kind of issue that need a transplant, it's extra super hard for him to find that transplant, because he mixed with two different races. But like I said, they coming up with organizations to combat that, and have donors. They trying to fix that issue, but it's just showing that it's not normal. Even animals don't do it. You'll never see an animal unless they might clone some stuff, put a tiger and a lion and make a liger, or something that's not natural. They might do it in a laboratory and they make these two animals. But I'm saying, for the most part now, in a wild, a black bear would not inseminate a polar bear. And you might say, well, they not around each other. It just, even if they was around each other, animals stick with their kind. Because if they don't stick with their kind, you're not gonna see a bluebird mess with a blackbird. It's just not gonna happen. You're not gonna see a cardinal mess with a bluebird. Because if they was to do that, the bloodline would get broke down. Eventually, they would go extinct. So that's why I'm against interracial marriages. I mean, and then really why I'm reading. But that's another story. Check out my video on my page why I'm against interracial marriage. I'm not gonna go off into that. But whatever you do is good for you, long as you're not sinning in the eyes of God. Do your thing. If you fell in love with a white man and you black woman, do your thing. If you fell in love with a white woman and you're a black man, do your thing. I'm just saying what my preference is. But going back into this situation, so Pat Mahomes really is not a black dude. He got a black father. His daddy was a pro baseball player, which was meaning that his daddy wasn't around a lot. His daddy was a pro baseball player, and they play like 200-300 games a year. So he was predominantly raised by his mama, his white mama, and her family, and being around her culture. So this really is, even when he talk, he's even married to a white woman. So let's keep this in perspective. And but I just the fact that they named it between two black starting quarterbacks, like we got to get an extra applause, like we the special needs kids of America, which is that's what we have become. Black people have become the special needs children of America. So we get an extra applause when we do simple things that everybody else doing. And I don't like that. And I don't and none of my fellow black conservative, fellow black kings and queens, and none of my black with ruling class mindset, we don't like that because we is just as good, if not better than everybody else. We don't have to get this special, but of course, like I say, the black liberal and the black woke like that because that's all they want. Nothing more than this, but to be affirmed and to get a hug from the white man. And so now I want to speak on the situation dealing with Tyree Nichols. I want to go on this is gonna be my last time speaking about that. And because I made a video I made two parts of on message to the black community, part 10, 1 and 2. I mean, uh volume 10, part 1 and 2 about the Tyree Nichols situation. But I want to go off into it again, and I think this is going to be my last video about the Tyree Nichols situation. And the main issue why I'm making this video is to let black liberals know and to let these black woke people know you will continue to die by police. You know what I'm saying? Why is that? Why is that? Because, see, black conservatives, black kings and queens, black people with a ruling class mindset, we don't have these issues with police. We just don't. We don't have these issues with police because we have common sense enough to know that we follow direct verbal orders. We respect authority, right? So we not gonna have these problems, right? And so I want y'all to hold on to one of the things that I said moving forward before we go to this next video. Hold on to what I said about how black people are the special ed of America. You make sure the volume up so y'all can hear this. So I'm gonna let him speak on it, and I'm gonna let dumb brain dead Whoopi Goldberg, brain dead Sonny Hostin, and I'm gonna let them speak on this particular situation, and of course I'm gonna chime in.
Seems things don't seem to make sense to people unless it's somebody they can feel or they can recognize. But how many times do we need to see white people also get beaten before anybody will do anything?
This video is brought to you by the Austin Tatum Store. The Austin Tatum Store, the coldest merch in the game. I want y'all to know we got 50% off the clearance rack. What's in the clearance rack, Mr. Tatum? Fathers Matter. I don't know why we put it in the clearance rack, but we got it in the clearance rack. Fathers Matter, GGY6, Faith Not Fear. We got all of our cool designs. Look, I'm going to be honest with y'all. We trying to get some more stuff in here. We got a new screen printing company, so we want y'all to buy all this stuff. My book is available right now. Also, all of our new products. We have loved our they call it a Valentine's Day line, but man, this is really about God. Got a verse here, Romans 5 and 8. So get our new merch. All of it is here. We got our big crazy hats. I'm gonna wear one of these in the video so y'all can see what it looks like. We have things available for pre-order and all of our best sellers, even this shirt included right here. So make sure you go on discount code God First, get 20% off the entire store. God First, 20% off the entire store. Like and subscribe to the channel, hit the bell so you get notifications anytime I go live, make a video. Make sure you subscribe to this channel, like this video, comment on this video, share this video. Let's get into this. You know, I'm gonna play some clips of some nutty people like.
Now, before I let this brother finish, I just want to let it be known. And as you've seen, he actually wrote a book about his life as being a police officer. But this guy is an ex-police officer. Just so we clear and just so we understand who this guy is talking. He not just some average blow on the street. But even if he was, common sense is common sense. But I just want to add that.
Whoopi Goldberg now that's just dumbing in a bag of rocks. And it just bothers me that the expectation for black men is zero.
Need to some police reform from the ground up because clearly it doesn't matter if it's a white policeman or a black policeman. It is a problem in the police and the policing itself. You know, seems things don't seem to make sense to people unless it's somebody they can feel or they can recognize. But how many times do we need to see white people also get beaten before anybody will do anything? I'm not suggesting that, so don't.
Okay, whoopee dumb bird. Let me show you. And this is why I make these videos. And this is why I'm gonna continue to make these videos. And I hope my channel grows so this message can get out to expose, not only expose dummies like Whoopi Goldberg, how she misleading our community, which we know a lot of older women look at this, look at the view, especially a lot of older black women. But this is why we gotta expose it. How many people last year was unarmed black men was killed? We can maybe count on, probably not even. I believe it was I believe it was under 50. Don't quote me on that, but I know it wasn't over 50. I know that. You know how many you know how many white unarmed men was killed last year? Wait for it. And I want you to take what I'm saying and go, cause like I say, if I don't know the exact number, I won't give it. But if I got an exact number, I'ma stand on it. I bet my life on it. And you can Google, do all your research. Last year alone, in 2022, 374 white men unarmed was killed by police, and the news never reported it. Black man and black woman, ask yourself, why is that? Why are they trying to only post when it happened to you and keep you angry and upset? Why is that, black man, black woman? Right? 374 unarmed white men was killed last year. It wasn't reported. That's almost that's a little over one a day. That's about a 1 point something white, which we probably know it wasn't happening like that, but I'm saying just it all added up to that. 300, that's more than, it's only 365 days in a year. That's over one person a day, white, getting killed by the police unarmed, and nobody heard about it. Nobody talked about it. No riot and no nothing. Why is that? And then you got this dumb rich, and she rich. This woman got money, and she on a national syndicated show telling you guys that it don't happen to white people. It just happened to you.
Write us and tell me what a racist I am.
You is.
I'm
And you're a
just
dummy.
asking, is that what people have to see in order to wake up and realize this affects us all?
Well, I have to say I haven't been able to bring myself to watch the video because I've seen so many of them. And as the mother
No, you haven't, Sonny. No, you have not. You have not seen so many of them. Stop lying. You are lying.
of a black son who's 6'2" and 20 years old, my worst nightmare is what is probably on that video. And there's, studies that show that black people that continuously watch these videos suffer from PTSD, and it's called linked fate, because we see our loved ones in the video. But I think there are people that need to see the video. Those people that can just decide not to watch it because they know it's not going to happen to their kid.
I watched this video this weekend because, to Sarah's point,
Now here go the white liberals that Malcolm X warned you about 60 years. Here go the white liberals who the black man, the liberal black woman, and the liberal black man, the black wokety woke. This is the white liberal that Malcolm X warned you about 60 years ago that they want a hug from.
thought as a white woman it was really important to watch it. And it was
I'm glad
heartbreaking and painful. And what it made me think of is the conversations both of you have had to have with your kids to say, you may have interactions with law enforcement, you have to be careful. Something that is hard for me to even understand.
No, you don't. You don't have to be careful, black man. You don't have to be careful, black woman. All you have to do is soon as the lights come on. Not after, not before. As soon as the lights come on and you're put over, soon as you get those direct verbal orders, follow them to the T, and no, you don't have to be careful. You just have to be aware.
And that is something that is just day to day in this country.
Black men, they expect us to be stupid. No, black man, you're not smart enough to not resist arrest.
Remember the special ed children of America? Remember I said that.
And you're not smart enough to understand when a cop is telling you put your hands behind your back. You don't understand that because you're black, though. White people can understand that. Mexican people can understand that. Asian people, but not the black man. The black man, according to them, is too dumb to listen to basic commands on a traffic stop. And that you should be afraid for your life if a cop pull you over because you're too dumb. This is what they're telling you. You're too dumb to differentiate between a lawful order and you participate in a lawful order or listening to a lawful order than a person resisting arrest and fighting cops. You're too dumb to differentiate between a person that's obeying commands versus a person that's fighting and thugging. You're not supposed to be able to determine the difference between. White people can. White people understand when they get pulled over, they should put their hands on the steering wheel, but black people don't have to, because you don't have enough sense to follow instructions for police officers, because you don't have to, because you're black. And if the incarceration rate is not enough for you, you can add to that number. If the homicide rate is not enough for black men getting murdered every day, add to that number by disobeying a police officer and potentially getting killed by one of them. When you could go home, but you're black, you don't have to go home. No. Let me say this. This is how they feel about you. You black, so you don't have to think about your wife and kids when you get pulled over. You can do whatever you want to do. Don't think about your kids and your family and be responsible for it. You got a job? Who cares about your job? Who cares about your reputation? Who cares about your life? They're going to pay your family out anyway. So go out, drive reckless, do whatever you want to do. When they pull you over, argue with them. And tell them and ask them, why you pull me over? You just pulled me over because I'm black. And they say, sir, get out of the car. I don't have to get out of the car. This is the message that they telling black men. This is a PSA they should be giving black men. Don't get out the car. Verbally assault the police officer. And if you get a good police officer, you may live. You get a bad one, you may die. But who cares? You black, so you get to do that in America. So that's how stupid these people sound. Why can't we teach our young people to save your life? Act like you got sense. It ain't even that hard. All right, let me go to the charges of these police officers. God, it's bothering me. It bothers me because as a black man in America, and I don't really like to say that, but while we categorizing, as a black man in America, what would I tell my son? Bro, do everything that a normal person would do. It ain't no special sauce.
But guess what, brother? Most of these men, as we know, 70-some% in the black community have been raised without a father. Listen, man, I was in the streets, man. This is why a lot of times I can look at these situations, and no disrespect to none of my fellow black conservatives, but a lot of black conservatives, especially the one that I follow, the one I'm familiar with, and I'm not saying all, but I'm saying most of them, they are people who really always were pretty much upstanding people. You know what I'm saying? Educated people, police officers, and in Congress, certain stuff like that. But I wasn't that. That's not me. I come from the streets. Then been to prison, then been in had multiple millions of run-in with the police. I ain't gonna say millions, but thousands at least, from my youth all the way till probably about 6 years ago, when I really changed my life. And so I know when I see these situations, people that's so tone deaf and they out of touch, they especially a lot of these black liberals and black woke they either they grew up in the hood and actually just hate police for their own brain dead reason, but for the ones who in these colleges, like I know a lot of people, they educated people, they never been in the street, but they going to these liberal universities and it's telling them these lies, and they actually believe that. And by them never having run in with the cop themselves, because they not street minded or street people that ever even been in that type of environment, they don't understand. They really believe this, and then when they see videos like this about Tyree Nichols and George Floyd, they really like, oh man, this guy really a menace. No. I have been, and I'm talking about, listen, man, I've been dealing with running with the police since I was in middle school, and never once have I got roughed up by the police. Why is that? Now, I've seen some of my friends maybe get roughed up time, rightfully so, because they either was fighting the officer or not listening to what he said or running away from him. But the time, one thing about it, even though I was having run in with the police and I had my father in the home, my father was a businessman and he did a lot of traveling. So a lot of times he wasn't home, but when he was home, we felt his presence. And he was a great father. He wasn't home not because he was out there in the street doing stuff he had no business. He was a businessman and he was providing for his family. And I come from a nuclear household where the woman was the housewife and my daddy was the provider. So he did what he had to do to provide. And a lot of time he was on the road on business, on the road working, or also evangelizing, because he was an evangelist. And so a lot of time he wasn't there. So when he wasn't there, and I would want that male energy, I end up going into the streets looking for it. But I'm saying that to say because of that, I had multiple run-ins with the law. But every time I had a run-in with the police, I always respected them. Because one thing in my household, especially with my daddy, my mama too, but especially with my daddy, that he didn't tolerate was disrespect to authority. Bad grades, you might get away. Doing something mischievous, you might get away with him. But disrespect to any kind of authoritative figure, my daddy didn't play that. And not only that, he was a authoritative disciplinary in the household. And so I was used to having that in the household. Somebody, a man hollering at me, fussing at me, you know, um, correcting me, right? A lot of these young men are not. A lot of these young men today are not, right? They grow up with mama. Mama tell them 50 times to do something before they get mad, and then they tell them over and over, and then whenever they having an attitude or having a bad day, that's when they want to execute discipline. But it's not really so much because they had to tell the child so many times because they having a bad day, and that's the only time the child really get disciplined. Which we also know women are not disciplinary creatures. That's not their position here on earth. But because a lot of them reproduce with the wrong men, and the men get more of the choice too, but I'm saying women got to be more protective of their womb. Why is that? Because they the one who gonna be stuck with the child. Women cannot raise children on their own. This is why the black community is in the situation it's in, because there's no father. And so a lot of these young, of course, all my friends, none of them had fathers. And so when they would have a run-in with police and this guy telling them what to do and fussing at them, they would automatically react like a woman react, overly emotional, compulsive, and it would never turn out right for them. Me, worst case scenario for me, I would go to jail. Sometimes I would get away, or they would let me go. I mean, because I knew how to conduct myself when I was in front of an authoritative figure. So that's why, brother.
Put your hands on the steering wheel when they pull you over. That's it.
Simple.
Keep your stuff in the glove box like you supposed to.
Simple.
Just because you black don't mean you dumb. Put your registration and your insurance in
According to America, yes we is, brother. Yes we. According to America, yes we is. We are the special ed children of America. You wrong about that, brother.
the glove box and leave it in there like a responsible driver. Have your driving license on you when you drive a vehicle. That's the law. When they pull you over, have your hands on the steering wheel. Communicate with the police officer like you're a normal person. If you have a gun on you, say, officer, I have a gun on me. How would you like for me to handle this situation, Mr. Officer? And he tell you whatever he tells you. And if he say, give me your driver's license, hey, my driver's license right here. Let me give it to you. I mean, all my stuff is up to date. Give him the thing, let him go back, do what he got to do. He come back to the car, he give you a ticket, he give you a warning. It doesn't matter. You have a right to fight that in the court of law. If you don't like what he did, sir, may I have your badge number? And if he refused to give you a badge number, you take it to the police department and complain on it.
Well, they can't do that, and I always speak about that in my videos as well. They can't refuse to give you the badge number, and if they pulling you over, right? They pulling you over. You are allowed to have a cell phone out, but I always tell people don't have your cell phone out when the cop pull you over. Now, when the cop come to the vehicle and you ask him, sir, is it okay if I record? And he say yes, and you pull your phone out then because if you just do it on your own, he don't know if you pulling out a phone or a gun. And so that can turn bad. So never just pull out a phone. But I'm saying, if you feel as though he don't want to cooperate with you and give you if you feel like your right been violated and he don't want to give you his name or his badge number, then you take a picture of it, right? Or you take a picture of his cruiser as it's passing away and get the number off his cruiser. But if you getting a ticket or possibly going to jail, his name and badge number is going to be on the ticket and on paperwork.
If you somehow in a situation where cops are pulling up you with guns and stuff, hey, buddy, do like you would do if Ray Ray and them pulled up on you with guns. Do what they asked you to do.
They don't argue with Ray Ray and Pookie. They don't argue with them. Listen, I'm from the streets. When a nigga pull up on them with that mask on or without that mask, they give it up. They don't do no question. They don't do no talking. I don't know that from experience, but I'm saying allegedly. We know when somebody pull a gun, they listen, but they don't do that with the cop. And I never understood that. That's a good point. That's a good point. He closing out on that, and he's saying it like that's very lightly, but that's a good point that he made. That's actually a very great point. You mean to tell me you gonna buck the system with somebody who you, in your opinion, black liberal, black woke, according to your own saying that you feel that white people are playing target practice with you. So you gonna argue with them, but you gonna let Ray Ray and Pookie rob you with that old rusted gun with no bullets in it? Come on, man. And so moving forward, I got a second video I want to play from this brother, and we're gonna let that play, and of course, I'm gonna chime in.
The secret to making a tasty turkey pinwheel?
Make it with Hillshire Farm lunch meat. And then when you saw it, what was your reaction?
Before he gets started on this, Brother Tatum titled this video "Memphis Police Chief Should Be Fired." I agree, but going a step further, she should have never been in that position. Women are not leaders. I don't care how you feel about that. I don't care who you are. Women are not leaders. As a matter of fact, I believe this woman is about 62 years old, so she's just really maturing, because women don't mature until they're about 60 years old. If you read the scriptures, Paul tell you about that. Until they're about 60 years old, women actually really don't mature. They're actually oversized children. And they all about little trinkets and titles. That's why you see all these women, they just love a title, whether it be in the church house. They just have to have a title in front of their name, apostle, prophet. Instead of just being a woman of God, they have to have a title. And women are, power and titles are something that women are obsessed with, and they should not be in leadership. So what are you saying? Are you saying that women are second class citizens? No, I'm not saying that. Women are just as important to this world as men are, but they have their strengths as well as men have their strengths, and both of their strengths are the other one's weaknesses. For example, nobody can make a home. Nobody can turn a house into a home like a woman. Nobody can make a family a family like a woman. The man can create the family with his seed, but the mama, the woman, the wife, she makes the home a home. She makes you want to go home, or she makes you want to stay away from home. The woman has a lot of power, but being in leadership is not that. Just like the man. The man is structure. He's disciplined. He's an authoritative figure. He's the leader, right? The woman is the help me. But I'm gonna let them play, and of course I'm gonna let this video play, and of course I'm gonna chime in.
Um, I was outraged. It was incomprehensible to me. It was that bad.
What are we going to see then?
You're going to see acts that defy humanity. You're going to see a disregard for life.
This video is brought to you by the Tatum Store. The Tatum Store, the coldest merch in the game. I want y'all to know we got 50% off the clearance rack. What's in the clearance rack, Mr. Tatum? Fathers Matter. I don't know why we put it in the clearance rack, but we got it in the clearance rack. Fathers Matter, GGY6, Faith Not Fear. We got all of our cool designs. Look, I'm going to be honest with y'all. We trying to get some more stuff in here. We got a new screen printing company, so we want y'all to buy all this stuff. My book is available right now. Also, all of our new products. We have Love to have a reasonable doubt about the legitimacy of these charges, and they're going to get thrown out. If you like this video, comment on this video, share this video. Let's get into this. I want to go over the charges that these officers are facing. And there are two major charges that I feel are going to be somewhat of an obstruction to this investigation, and it only take one juror to have a reasonable doubt about the legitimacy of these charges, and they're going to get thrown out. And I think that, in my personal opinion, they have politicized this whole thing. They've politicized it. I don't understand why in our country, in the climate that we're in, that people feel like they need to politicize an event that's cut and dry.
This is not just a professional failing. This is a failing of basic humanity toward another individual. This incident was heinous, reckless, and inhumane. And in the vein of transparency, when the video is released in the coming days, you will see this for yourselves. I expect you to feel what the Nichols family feels. I expect you to feel outrage in the disregard of basic human rights, as our police officers have taken an oath to do the opposite of what transpired on the video.
You don't need to add extras on the Memphis police officers who displayed poor conduct, and potentially their actions led to the death of a person. You don't have to put extras on it. Let me start from the police chief. You don't have, and I said this 100 times already, what is the point of you attempting to make the case against your officers, the ones who are doing this conduct under your watch? How are you going to criticize these guys before you release the body-worn camera? You say it's worse than Rodney King. You are interjecting your own theology into this. before the public ever has an opportunity to watch it. She's going on television doing interviews. I mean, what, are you a celebrity? When you saw it.
Oh, yes, she's a celebrity, brother. Of course she's a celebrity. This is what this all about. Once again, brothers and sisters, listen, women are not supposed to be in leadership. As a matter of fact, go on my channel, and I actually got a live. Go in the live section. I got a live on why women shouldn't be in leadership. Women are not leaders. And so this is an opportunity, but this is a woman who she she been around the block a few times. She was a police chief in North Carolina. She was a police chief in Atlanta. She was a police now she's a police chief in Memphis. I don't know why she consistently being hired as a police chief, because to my knowledge she haven't done nothing that help the black community, help the community that she's a part of. But here it is, she's on TV, she's politicizing this. Of course, she's a Democrat. Why are we not surprised? And of course, this is all being used because why? One day she's going to run for office. Remember this lady's name. I think her name is something CJ something. Remember this woman's name and face. She will be running for politics one day. And so now was a perfect opportunity for her to be in the spotlight. And of course, pass the blame on the black man. Which is, in this situation, the black man made a mistake. The five black men made a mistake. The brothers, they got their judgment on earth, and they gonna get another judgment in the afterlife if they don't repent. That's in the subject. I don't want to spend too much time on that. But of course, this is what she's doing. She's not supposed to be in leadership, and so now she sees this opportunity for her to get the spotlight, the fame, and the notoriety that she's always wanted, that all these liberal black women want. And guess what? Now she's gonna use it, pass off the buck on these black men. I didn't have anything to do with it when she's the one who put this particular unit, the Scorpion unit, together for whatever reason. We know Memphis is highly big when it comes to black on black violence, black on black crime. But I'm gonna let them finish and I'm gonna chime in.
What was your reaction?
I was outraged.
Yeah, right.
It was incomprehensible to me. It was that bad.
What are we going to see then?
You're going to see acts that defy humanity. You're going to see a disregard for life, duty of care that we're all sworn to, and a level of physical interaction that is above and beyond what is required in law enforcement. And I'm sure that, as I said before, that individuals watching will feel what the family felt. And if you don't, then you're not a human being.
All of a sudden, you on every news station giving an explanation before you even show anybody what actually happened. To brief people with this expectation that it was bad. I expected the video to be much worse than it was, given what she was saying. But then they do this to politicize it. She wants to make it seem really bad and egregious and separate her leadership from the action of these officers. And when you have officers participating like this in a unit that's questionable under your watch, you have to resign as a chief. But no, you can't have a simple statement like that because it's politicized. The politicizing of this,
Hell will freeze over before she resign, brother. Hell will freeze over before she take any accountability. The liberal black man and the liberal black woman takes no accountability. It's everybody else's fault, especially the white man who they so desperately want a hug from.
I'm saying the word wrong. You know what I'm saying. Once you get to that point, the truth is out of the window and we can never learn from any of this. The chief went up and beyond to do what she did. They've disbanded the Scorpion unit, why would you disband the Scorpion unit? Why? Now, is the unit the problem, or are these 5 officers that are in the unit the problem? You tell me. If you got to disband a unit because of the actions of only 5 officers, then that means the unit should have never been there in the first place. And I got my thoughts on that anyway, but we'll talk about that in a second. I want to just walk you through the timeline real quick of the traffic stop and subsequently this kid's death. So at 8:24, officers confronted Tyree Nichols at a traffic stop. And this is what bothers me the most, because people cannot be honest about anything. But I'm gonna be honest. Just stay tuned. They stop him on a traffic stop, and the officers alleged that he was driving reckless. That's why they stopped him. However, their police chief gets on television on NBC and say the department have not been able to confirm why Mr. Nichols had been stopped. You what do you mean you haven't confirmed? The officers, you think they just stopped him just because they were driving down the street and they picked that man out of all the other black men they could?
Yes, brother, because police love pulling black people over. Yes, brother, that's why they did it. Let the liberal white, let the liberal white, let the liberal black, let the wokey woke black tell it. Him as well as all other blacks, no matter whether they got a suit coat on or whether they got a hoodie on. It does not matter. If you black, they will pull you over. That's why they put him over, brother, because he was black. Yes, brother, that's why.
Stop. Of course, they had a reason for the stop. They articulated that they had a reason for the stop, and you have no reason to believe that they didn't have a reason for the stop. But of course, she's in the political realm of coming against her own officers. The first struggle occurred between Mr. Nichols and then he fled. I don't know how many times I have to say this, but why are you resisting arrest? The officers can be wrong, indeed, but you wrong. You create
No accountability. And one thing I learned, bro, especially with the black liberal, being a black man and in my community, accountability is taboo to blacks. They will not accept it. The liberal black, I want to be clear, the liberal black, the black wokey woke, they will not accept accountability. It's everybody else's fault, especially the white man that they so desperately want that hug from. Right? And so it's not about them taking accountability and saying, you know what, and being proactive and teaching their children, listen, man, when you're pulled over by an officer, as soon as the lights get to flashing, you follow orders, right? That don't tell the cop how to do his job. Don't argue and fuss and fight with the cop. And then some people may say, well, some of these cops, some of these people are having mental health crisis, or some of these people are on drugs. Well, guess what? The cop is a human garbage disposer. He is not a counselor. He is not a 12-step program. That's not his job. His job is when he called to protect and serve the civilians of the community. And because you having a mental health crisis or you on drugs and you putting other people in danger, the cop has to do his job. And he is not a counselor. He is not a 12-step program rehab instructor.
Created this situation, and they finished the situation, and now they probably going to go to jail. But you created the situation. There's nobody whatsoever on planet Earth that can tell me that his actions did not lead to his death.
Thank you, brother.
All you gotta do is comply.
Simple.
Show me a man who died who was complying. Show me, please.
That'll be the day. And I don't. One thing about it, I never. Even when I was in my fallen state 6 or 7 years ago, I never would participate in a protest, or participate in looting, or participate in looting, or participate in riot, or anything that's negative. That's, to me, that's broke bum nigga activities, right? But what I'm gonna say is this here: the day I see a man, a black man or a black woman, who on body cam follow every rule that the officers tell them without arguing, and don't bring up Philando Castile, that's 1 out of a million. The only case I know. The first time a black man or woman is showed on body cam that they followed every single order, no arguing, yes sir, no sir, I will be rioting, I will be supporting GoFundMe's, I will be doing everything in my power to stand behind that person. But as of today, this brother, who was a police officer, and myself neither, have never seen that happen. But with Philando Castile, 1 out of a million.
Find me a clip. Even when the officers were wrong, these people are not complying. And what's happening is that the situation begins to escalate, and the good or the bad comes out of those officers. And you dead either way it go. But anyway, he flees. He resists. They get him on the ground. He says, I'm on the ground. y'all doing too much right now. That's not the conversation you need to have with police officers who have their guns out and tasers out. Is that I'm on the ground, y'all doing too much right now. You should obey what they're saying to you.
Thank you, brother.
If they tell you to get on the ground, it's so much stuff I want to talk about. They had made reference that they gave him a contradictory commands. It's like when they tell you to get on the ground, they don't just want your shin bone to be on the ground. This is not Monday Night Football. You're not down just because you got two toes on the ground while you're making a catch. It's that they're telling you to get down, and they're also telling you to put your hands behind your back, and they're trying to put your hands behind your back. Anybody with common sense knows that just because they say get on the ground, it's not just, they mean touch your leg on the ground and that's it. It's the only command you have to deal with. If they're telling you get on the ground and they're trying to put your hands behind your back, everybody and their mama have watched Cops before. You know what's happening. They're not getting you out of the car to rub your back and read you a lullaby. They're trying to arrest you. Whether they're wrong or not, you know what they're trying to do. So it makes me upset when somebody say, oh, but he was listening. He wasn't listening to nothing they was saying. He laying on the ground still being defiant. They attempted to tase him. He gets up. He throws the probes off. That's why I never use the taser. It's ineffective. And he begins to run. They call for backup. The officers catch him up under the street lights. And they give him that work. Mr. Nichols was handcuffed and then eventually set up on the side of a car, and the medical staff took about 16 minutes before they came and saw him. He was transported to the hospital, and several days later, he died. I don't understand why we can't compartmentalize and criticize all the way across the board. The chief, wrong. She needs to resign. The behavior of these police officers were wrong. Many of them were dead wrong. You can't punch a man in the face like that. It's not a street fight. You should be trying to execute an arrest. Now, some of them complained that he was extra strong, which we probably later find out that he was probably high on some drugs. But at the same time, your mission as a police officer is to overcome resistance by using the least amount of force necessary to execute an arrest. Kicking a man in the face while you're on the ground is not an arrest tactic. That's not. How are you arresting somebody kicking them in the face? How are you arresting somebody hitting them with a baton with no aim, with no purpose, with no follow-up? How are you executing an arrest and you punching the guy in the face, attempting to knock him out, but you couldn't knock him out the first 5 punches? It had to be the 6th punch that you finally hit him in the chin and knocked him on the ground. None of those things are reasonable. So you could criticize those officers on their behavior. Also, when cops pull you over and pull a gun out and say police, and they say get on the ground, you need to get on the ground. You don't get on the ground with guys with guns and negotiate with them and say, I don't know what y'all doing. Why y'all doing this to me? I didn't do nothing. That is not reasonable. And then when they're trying to arrest you, you fight, you resist. They tase you, you run. You flee. You're running down the street now. Now when they get to you, you still don't comply. You're not putting your hands behind your back, even when the guy kick you. You're not putting your hands behind your back. You're not doing anything they ask you to do. You're steady resisting. Then they pepper spray you, and you still resisting. It doesn't matter if you can see or not. You hear them saying, put your hands behind your back. They're actively trying to put your hands behind your back. All that he did was absolutely unnecessary. And so all 3 parties can be wrong, because you have to be able to identify 3 separate parties being wrong so you can fix it. What should the chief have done to be better? Boom. As a chief, you don't come out and throw your people under the bus. You don't come out and divulge information. You're supposed to be impartial. The only conversation you should be having is direct conversation of facts, and facts that led to the firing of these officers, because police chiefs don't charge anybody. The police chief really shouldn't have any information into the ongoing investigation, because the prosecutor is handling the investigation into these police officers, not the police chief. She may too be under investigation to some degree because of some of the things that she's done based on the department policy. So nobody want to hear you say what you think or what you thought it would felt like, what it make you feel like when you feel like you want to feel like. Nobody care what you have to say. You should be impartial and you should just give factual information about why they got fired. And this is what bothers me, because everybody jumps on a bandwagon of political correctness, and they jump on a bandwagon of making this about politics and trying to save their careers and kissing the rear end of the city council. That stuff is never going to get us anywhere. Because when you just go off and you say, they just crazy, I can't believe what I saw. Well, let's talk about the training that they got. While you out here doing press conferences, what training are you giving your officers? Why did you start a Scorpion unit? What training did those officers receive in the Scorpion unit to be qualified to do the things that they did? Now I want to hear you interview about that. Because you can go off all day and throw the blame under these officers.
That's not going to happen, brother. Why is that? Because black liberals, especially black liberal women, will never take accountability for their actions. So that's not going to happen, brother. Please don't hold your breath, brother.
Whether they acted inappropriately or not. But what is your training protocol? Can you spend a little time talking to Don Lemon about your training protocol? I have never seen such poor training handed to police officers in my life. This was some of the poorest trained police response that I've ever seen. But she's going around touting and gloating about, oh, they just did so bad. You got to be worse. There's no way I would be a police chief of a department and I'm not knowing how my people are being trained. Oh, you're going to develop a Scorpion unit. Okay, what's the criteria for a Scorpion unit? What officers are going to be involved in the Scorpion unit? What background checks or internal checks are you doing to make sure that they're qualified officers to handle incidents like this? How much time do they have on the police department? How much additional training? Do they have use of force training or adequate use of force training? Do they have de-escalation training? Are they good at defensive tactics? Do they have firearms training that they're adequate enough to be on an elite team like this? I'm hoping that this is an elite team. Unless they got random people out there call a Scorpion unit to handle high crime areas. You have to be an elite team if you're handling high crime areas. Ma'am, are these people not qualified to be in a unit you created that then you end up getting rid of because of political reasons? We need to touch base on all this. Now, people with the P brain cannot compartmentalize this, and they just only want to talk about the fact these officers kill people. I get it.
The liberal black man, the liberal black woman, the black wokey woke, and the black liberal white. I mean, I'm screwed. I might as well call them that, but the liberal white that Malcolm X wanted 60 years ago. That's only one. See, the black people, the black conservative, the black kings and queens, the black men and black women with ruling class mindset, not us. We understand. We don't have these type of problems.
But we need to go down methodically and say, how do we fix this for the future? How do we make sure officers never end up in this situation again? How do we make sure a citizen never end up in this situation again? And you can't talk about that if you don't say nothing about the man's behavior. Because essentially what you're saying is that, no, black man, you're not smart like the white man. You don't have to follow instructions from police officers. That's what I feel like that they're saying. Why can't black people follow instructions like everybody else? And I'm not saying they do or don't. I'm saying the expectation is that they don't have to. There's no criticism of any of these black people that have died at the hands of police officers that could have been avoided by their own actions.
Once again, remember what I said in the beginning of the video. Because, brother, I just told y'all in the beginning of the video why. Because black people are the special needs children of America. And yes, several of them could have been avoided. George Floyd. So I can't even keep naming them. So many of them. I would say 85 to 90% of police shooting unarmed black men could have been avoided by just one word. Comply. And not when you want to comply. Comply as soon as the lights start flashing.
Even George Floyd. Listen, Floyd, you don't end up under somebody's kneecap if you're not trying to buy stuff with fake money. And then when they get you into custody, you just get in the car. You arrested. You're sitting on the curb. Why don't you just get in the car and go to jail like you've done 15 times before this? Now I'm being superfluous. I don't think he went to jail 15, but he probably went to jail 5. So why can't we talk about the fact of
Yeah, no, you're not being hypergamy. It was more than 15 times. George Floyd been in and out of prison and juvenile detention center since he was a child. And I believe when he died, he was in his 40s. So yes, sir, it was over 15 times, just for the record.
hey, if you want to stay alive, then don't do what they did. Because your life is not shouldn't be in the balance of whether it's a good police officer or not. Your life should be in the balance of whether or not you put yourself in a situation to allow them to hurt you or not. And we can deal with the police officers on the other end of it. But what about your life? What are you telling our young people? You should be able to run because you're scared. That's not reasonable.
Why tell them that, brother? This is why they not telling that, because if they tell them that and they mess around and spread and black people start to understand that, hey, my actions is first. What I do is going what I do is how this is going to determine the outcome of this situation. Well, then people like Benjamin Crump start to lose money. The fake black leaders start to lose money and power, and all these people who benefit off of this majority in the Democratic Party, all of them in the Democratic Party, they not gonna be successful no more. So it's not beneficial to them. They don't care about the black life. They don't care about Tyree Nichols. They don't care about George Floyd. But the black liberals, especially the ones with power, the fake black leaders, the Benjamin Crumps, right? The Maxine Waters, the Corey Bushes, the Sheila Jackson Lees, right? This is a political play for them. This gives them the Tiffany Crosses, the Joy Reid. This gives them an opportunity and some gasoline to fuel their racist fire that burns inside of their heart toward the white man, the God who they serve. That's who their God is, the white man. It's all about him. It's everything his fault. Even you see morons like Van Jones. I don't know this other lady name. She's some African doctor. She was on CNN. Um, and it's still they finding a way to make this about white supremacy. You know what I'm saying? They so caught up with the white man and they so worship him so much. White supremacy, like I always say, exists more in liberal blacks and woke and woke black mindset than it do actually in reality. The white man is supreme to them. Everything is his fault because why is that? He's God. Everything that happened bad is his fault. He is the leader, right? And so if they come out and if these Joy Reids and Tiffany Cross and these fake black leaders like Jesse Jackson, Al Sharpton, these ambulance chasers like Ben Crump, um, Sheila Jackson Lee, Corey Bush, and all these people that benefit off that, Donna Lemon, if they come out and tell the black people, hey, look, just comply. Forget it. No, we're going to forget about everything happened behind. We're going to stop being reactive. We're going to be proactive by telling our people to comply as soon as the lights start flashing, right or wrong, comply. And if they violate your right, get their name, badge number, which is gonna be on the ticket, gonna be on the paperwork if you go to jail. And if nothing happened, just get their badge. All you gotta do is go to the police station and let them know what time. If just say you deal with a cop and they pull you over for nothing and they don't have no reason to give you a ticket, they don't have no reason to give you a charge, so you don't have their paperwork, their name on paperwork, and they don't let you take a picture of their badge or their name. Go tell them what time and where you were when you got pulled over. All that's in the system and report them. And I promise you it's going to get took care of, especially in the time we living in. They can't tell y'all that, black man and black woman. They can't. Because if they do, a whole bunch of unarmed black men would not be killed. And then that would stop giving them ammunition. The Jamel Hills of the world. Let me not leave her out with her brain dead, dumb self. Right? And so I just wanted to put this video out, man. I'm going to let the brother finish out, and I'm going to chime in.
I would never tell my son, hey, if you get pulled over by a cop and you get scared, take off running.
Once again, brother, majority of these black men and women are not being raised in the home with a father. And I spoke about that in the last video. Once again, because you said that, and I'm glad you said it, because that means a lot. That's a very important subject in this matter. A lot of these black men and women are not being raised in home with their father. 70-something% of black children are being raised without a father, so they don't know. All they know is what mama say. All they got is mama energy. Mama tell them 50 times to do something around the house. The cop not gonna do that. Mama begged them to do stuff. The cop not gonna do that. Right? Mom are overly emotional and compulsive, so that's what they showcase when they dealing with an authoritative figure because they not used to that in the home. They not used to a man fussing and telling them what to do, giving them direct verbal orders. So they are against authority. Most of these children that's being raised in these black homes without a father are against authority, whether it be a school, teacher, police, anywhere they go, they're against authority. Why is that? Because the man is the authoritative figure. And when he's not in the home, the children is not taught discipline, authoritative they not taught discipline and to respect authority because the woman is not an authoritative figure. People not gonna like when I say that, but it is what it is. The truth is there. The truth is the truth, and nobody can change that by how you feel.
You have a right to run. I tell my son, no, man. You don't know what they think you did. Because I'll say this again, because I said it on my live stream video. An officer can have probable cause to arrest you for a crime
Mind you, this guy was an ex-police officer. Just so we clear on his credentials.
you didn't do. An officer can have reasonable suspicion to believe you committed a crime that you never did. And they can legally arrest you for a crime that you didn't do. Now let me explain that. Because whether you did the crime or not is battled in the court of law. Officers base arrests on probable cause. They don't have to know for a fact you did a crime. It's just that a reasonable person with all of the circumstances surrounding the investigation would believe that you committed that crime. Or reasonable suspicion, which is not the same burden as probable cause. Reasonable suspicion can detain somebody. Probable cause is where you can arrest somebody. But reasonable suspicion, you could have not did anything. And an officer could have reasonable suspicion to believe you did it. How is that possible, Mr. Tatum? If a man wearing a black hoodie with a Donald Trump on it, with a blue blazer, black jeans and black shoes, beat up his wife and is running down the street and they see me, they could potentially believe I'm the person that they're looking for and they have a right to detain me. I ran out of time again. I'll catch you after the break.